Hello Year 5. In this lesson we're going to be going through the poem Bus Route. So on Google Classroom or the website, this is week 3, lesson 5. Now I'm going to be going through the answers to the poem. So if you haven't read the poem and you haven't answered the questions, you should do that now. The poem is in the Term 2 comprehension booklet, okay, and the questions are on the next page. So pause the video if you haven't read it and you haven't answered the questions, and do that and then come back to me. Right, so I'm assuming everybody watching the video at this point has tried to answer the questions. First of all, I'll just read the poem for you. Bus route. When the bus is full, it creeps uphill like an old man climbing the stairs to bed. Down the other side it rumbles into town, barging through traffic, an angry bully. Out in the country, the bus is empty, rattling through the quiet lanes, humming softly. But it can never stay. It has to push and shove, bruise and scrape its skin in the rough and tumble town. Surging crowds of people swarm and clamber on it, fill it to the top at the bottom of the hill. Right, so we're going to do the questions. The questions are on the second page of the booklet. There's the questions. And I'm going to go through the answers now so you can check your work. Okay, so question 1. How many verses does the poem have? How many lines are there in each verse? So the poem has 5 verses and there are 4 lines in each verse. Question 2. Does the poem have a rhyming pattern? No, it doesn't. You're probably thinking we're never going to give you a poem with a rhyming pattern because this is about the third one we've had that doesn't have a rhyming pattern. But not all poems do rhyme, so this one doesn't either. Now, question 3 is a big question. Lots of vocabulary, about 12 words. Okay, so A, creep. Okay, so if you creep, you move slowly and carefully so that you won't be noticed or you won't be heard. You might, I don't know, if you wake up in the night and you want to go and get something from the fridge, you might creep around so that your parents don't hear you. Rumble, B, rumble. Okay, this is a continuous deep sound. Think of thunder. We had some thunder recently when we had the bad weather. So think of the thunder in the distance. It's like a deep low sound. Or maybe sometimes if you're hungry, your stomach makes that noise. That's a bit like of a rumble as well. C, barge through. Okay, this is when you push your way through in a rough and aggressive way. So if you're fighting at the canteen to get your crepe, you might barge through. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to take your turn, but sometimes people do. So barge through is when you push through in a rough way to get to the front. D, rattle. Okay, this is a rapid succession of short noises. Okay, the best example of this is think of a baby's toy. You know the baby toys that they shake and they make a noise? They're called rattles. So it's a noise like that. Hum. Okay, that's a slow, steady, continuous sound. Imagine a bee. Or we can hum as well. That's a hum. Let's have a look, what's next? Shove. Okay, I think I might have said that earlier when I said barge through. So shove is when you push somebody or something out of the way. Bruise. Okay, well, I think you probably know this. So if you've hurt yourself, sometimes you get a mark on your skin. It starts off, it's blue and black, and then sometimes goes a horrible yellowy, browny, greeny colour, and they can take a few days to go. So that's a bruise. Scrape. Okay, that's when you get an injury. So you maybe brushed against something hard or sharp, and you get an injury on your skin, for example. Of course, it's when you've got a small injury or damage. Let's have a look. J. I. Rough and tumble. Okay, so I want you to imagine 2 boys in year 1 play fighting in the playground, which they're not supposed to do, but imagine that they're doing that and they're pushing each other and they're tumbling, and this is what we call rough and tumble. So playing around in a physical way, noisy, slightly aggressive. J, surging crowds. Okay, so this is when a crowd moves forwards together at a pace, okay, so quite fast, and a lot of people together. Swarm. Move in a large group. So we sometimes use this for insects as well. They move together in a large group. And L, clamber. Okay, so this is like to climb, but you might it might be something difficult, so you might have to use your hands as well, like clamber over a rock or something like that. Right, so that's the meaning of those words. Of course, when we do vocabulary, we have to make sure we're looking at the context. We have to make sure we choose the correct meaning for the text that we're looking at. I think as we go through the other questions, those words might come up again. So, number 4. What 2 places does the bus travel through? Okay, so the bus goes through the town and the country. 5. Why do you think the bus creeps uphill? Right, the bus creeps uphill because he's full of passengers now. So he's going to be slow. It says here, he creeps uphill like an old man climbing the stairs to bed. You might not live in a house with stairs, you might live in a flat. But think sometimes when you see old people trying to get up the stairs in the building. So it's hard for them, it's difficult. So when the bus is going uphill, it's hard for the bus. He's full of people and the engine has to work harder to get there. 6. Why do you think the bus hums softly out in the country? It says here, out in the country the bus is empty, rattling through the quiet lanes, humming softly. Okay, so the bus, he hums softly because it's empty and there's no traffic. There's no strain on his engine. It could also be that the bus is happy, because this is the easy bit, this is the nice bit. He's out in the country, hasn't got many people on, nice open roads. So the bus is happy and there's no strain on the bus. Number 7, do you think the bus prefers to be in the town or out in the country? Well, that's really up to you. That's an opinion question. But from the tone of the poem, we think that the bus prefers to be in the country. And you would need to give a reason why. There are fewer people on the bus, and he doesn't have to push and shove through traffic. The roads are open, it's easier. Number 8, how can the bus have skin? What type of figurative language is the poet using? Right, do you remember this? We did talk about this before. So the poet is using personification to talk about the bus. The bus doesn't really have skin, but the bus can get bruised and scraped. Okay, so the bus has bodywork, which, as you know, can get damaged. In Cairo, everyone gets damage to their bodywork of their car. It's almost hard to avoid it. So the bus doesn't really have skin, but the bus can get damaged by other cars, okay? So we're using personification. We talked about it in the last video, I think. We're making the bus sound human. The bus also, when it says the bus has to struggle up the hill, that's kind of personification. We're saying the bus is like an old man trying to get up the stairs. And the bus is also compared to a bully, pushing its way through traffic, barging through traffic, an angry bully, okay? So the bus can't really push people out of the way, and it can't be mean and say bad things. But the bus has to be aggressive in the city, and the driver has to push through, otherwise he'll sit there all day. It's a bit like driving in Cairo, isn't it? If you sit there nice and polite, you're going to sit there all day. So sometimes you have to push forward and be a bit aggressive to get where you're going. But the bus isn't human, making it sound like it's human. And the bus can't really hum, but we're giving you the idea that the bus is happy when it's in the country. And humming, people usually hum when they're happy, so it gives you the idea that the bus is human, he's humming now, he's relaxed. Okay? So, I hope you understood the poem. I hope the go through the answers was nice and clear for you. And that's all for today.